Hello everybody, and welcome back to the only series out there that combines the stories of Magic the Gathering with the physical cards you can win. I'm Seiben, and this is Friday Night Lore. For this week's FNL, I want to continue the storyline which is being laid out for us regarding the upcoming set, Battle for Zendikar. Wizards of the Coast is constantly releasing new articles on Uncharted Realms, and it's really getting us into the story for BFZ. My last video on this topic, titled Catching Up, brought Jace, Belleron, and Gideon Jorah together. Now they're off to find allies to fight against the Eldrazi, while the disgruntled Liliana Vess, who sought Jace out for help, contemplates joining the fight. And this is today's story, showing us all the unkindness of ravens. After Gideon and Jace left for the evening, Liliana walks alone through the streets of Ravnica. Her mind has been plagued by concerns as of late. It's what brought her to this world in the first place. Her life is becoming more and more unstable. Although she is probably the strongest necromancer in the multiverse, she's constantly being pulled by those who seek to control her. The Dragon Planeswalker Nicobolus caused her to betray a man she truly loved. 4 demons have control over her soul, while her will is being contested by the influence of the Chain Veil. It's Liliana's goal to free herself from her bonds. She no longer works for Bolas, and has already killed 2 of her former demon lords, but the Chain Veil has proven to be her most powerful opponent yet. Although she has used the Chain Veil very effectively, there's no denying that its dark purpose weighs heavily on her. The Chain Veil contains the spirits of an ancient race from a faraway world. This race has long since died out, but this single artifact serves as their soul's connection to the world. It's designed to make the wearer a dark vessel for those spirits, with the invading whispers of the dead plaguing their minds. Liliana is not your average mage, however. She has been, for the most part, able to shoo these annoying voices off. It helps that she's far from the artifact's home world of Shenjalar, where the voices were the strongest, but still, there's no denying their presence. Her mind again turns to Jace, how he so easily pushed her aside to aid Gideon in his campaign on Zendikar, rather than helping her with the Chain Veil. Although she couldn't blame Jace because she never really asked for his help. He even invited her to join him on Zendikar, fighting together like the good old days. She scoffed at the thought. But then again, something about the idea tantalized her. There was something in her which longed to return to the simpler days. Days before ancient spirit artifacts and soul-sucking demon lords. The days of just her and Jace. Maybe going to Zendikar and fighting with him could bring back those days. Dare she said it could even be a little fun. She would have to deal with the angelic boy scout, Gideon, but at least she could raise these giant monsters, these Eldrazi, as living corpses, which is always a delight. These pleasing, if not far-fetched daydreams were interrupted however by the ominous croak of a raven. In her blissful thoughts, she didn't realize where her feet were taking her, a secluded part of an unpopulated district. While no one seemed to be around, she did find herself surrounded by ravens. A feeling developed in her stomach, and made her queasy as anger and rage boiled to the surface of her skin. This was no normal murder of crows. It was a figure she only referred to as the Raven Man. Keeping her cool, Liliana ousted the Raven Man from his disguise and asked him to politely stop playing games. Of course, Liliana's manners are always a little suspect. In a flash, the Raven flock flew into a mass of smoke and feathers, and there he stood, the Raven Man. Liliana, however, was not impressed by his little magic trick. His trick may have not impressed the necromancer, but his very appearance had. It had been well over a century since she last encountered this figure, yet he looked the same as the first day he ever met him on the world of Dominaria. He didn't age a year, kinda like her. As they stare at each other, the Raven Man simply uttered, "You need help." Liliana did in fact need help, but she would not seek it from the likes of this thing, whatever he was. He's the reason her brother Jasu was dead. He guided her to the Chain Veil. He was the living curse of her life. She had always had the goal of killing this man in her mind, but now that he stood before her, she merely mentioned that she would kill him rather than just doing it. As they argue over the difficulty a task like killing him would be, Liliana says it would be easy with the Chain Veil. As the spirits of the artifact react to her growing tension, their voices become harder to drown out. She turns away and shakes her head, so that she could extinguish the voices. The Raven Man suggests that she should never turn her back on an enemy and places a dagger so close to Liliana's skin that she could feel the cold of the blade. The man didn't strike her while he had the chance, he merely just wanted to prove a point. Liliana begins to lose her cool, demanding to know who or what he is. She accused him of being a planeswalker, for he has followed her throughout the multiverse. The Raven Man just smirked and did not answer. They start to discuss the Chain Veil and the demon who sent her to find it, Kothofed. The Raven Man acts like he is the master behind her obtaining this thing, but the demon is the one who sent her. The Raven Man only says that while she was sent by the demon, it was her who refused to return it. She's destined to be the vessel for destruction, far greater than that of a single demon, or even 4. Liliana again scoffs, but the Raven Man inquires about her own destruction. Death was staring at her from every corner of her life. Still 2 demons more powerful than the previous control her soul. The Beast Mage Garrick is hunting her and killing all other planeswalkers in his path. Even her fawn Jace had invited her to her own death should she choose to go to Zendikar. Liliana for years believed she was the master of death. She prolonged her own life and controlled the death around her. She's killed many opponents in her life and escaped death just as many times. Death was a weapon to Liliana, something that acted on her will, but the Raven Man was quick to humble the planeswalker. He told her that she's not accustomed to death, but rather murder and the shambling corpses of others. She doesn't realize her own demise is building up in her every time she uses the Chain Veil. True death cannot be controlled, and it's growing inside of her. The thought of her own death caused Liliana to lash out in anger and denial. As dark magic tore into the Raven Man, he dispersed back into a flock of ravens. Liliana's necromantic attacks killed raven after raven till there was more dead than alive. The Raven Man appeared again, attempting to attack Liliana. She was able to stop him before he dispersed once again. Liliana was done playing. She used her powers and forced the dead ravens to rise. Their corpses acted upon her will and attacked the remaining ravens who lived. Liliana laughed as only a handful of ravens escaped the slaughter and flew off into the sunset. She noticed blood was dripping from her forehead. Her body was reacting to the glowing purple markings left by her demon lords on her skin. She had just barely tapped into the power of the Chain Veil, and still, she could feel its pressure on her body. The realization finally sunk in. If she did not find a solution to her Chain Veil problem, it would eventually kill her. This was part of her life now, but as her former lover likes to say, all puzzles have a solution. Jace can go solve Gideon's puzzle, she was determined to solve her own. And there you have it guys, the latest entry in the Battle for Zendikar saga. So what can we take away from this article? Well, much to the dismay of many, it appears Liliana will not be playing a role in the Battle for Zendikar. Now, I believe that when Magic Origins came out, that the 5 planeswalkers featured would play big roles in the upcoming set. It just made sense to me. But this article suggests that's not the case, but I'm sure Liliana's story is far from over. Now that we're done with the story, let's move on to the real reason you're all here, and don't try to deny it. For this week's Friday Night Lore giveaway, I think it's fitting to give away a copy of Liliana Heretical Healer / Defiant Necromancer. And yes, this is the same Liliana which suffered some water damage in the Great Spill, just like the Gideon card given out last week. It's still legible, but needs someone willing to play it. To enter for your chance to win this card, all you have to do is be a subscriber to this channel and leave a comment on this video. At the end of the week, I'll use a random number generator to select a comment and announce the winner at the end of next week's FNL video. So stay tuned to see if you've won. Moving on, let's announce the winner of last week's Friday Night Lore giveaway. Since I screwed up my scheduling, the previous FNL was extended by a week, so it gave more people a chance to win. The prize for that week was a copy of Kithian, Hero of Acro / Gideon Battleforged. And so, the winner of last week's giveaway and new owner of this Gideon Battleforged card is... Tyler Rhodes! Congratulations to the YouTube user Tyler Rhodes, and thank you for that awe-inspiring message. It's a lesson we should all hold dear to our hearts. Quack. If you could please check your messages on YouTube. There you'll find a message from me with all the info I need to send you this card. So that concludes another Friday Night Lore, folks. I want to know what you guys think about Liliana not being in the Battle for Zendikar story. Leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way in supporting future content. You can also support this channel by visiting my sponsors at ABU Games. ABUgames.com is one of the leading online stores for all things Magic the Gathering, whether you're looking for booster boxes or single cards. ABU Games directly sponsors my FNLs and all of my giveaways, and I really suggest you guys checking them out. As always guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.